After the college entrance exams, my younger cousin found out I had received an acceptance letter from Tsinghua University, and she was so jealous her eyes turned red. My uncle's family, however, was very happy about it and offered to take me on a graduation trip abroad. After boarding the plane with them, however, I lost consciousness. When I woke up again, I found myself in a crime-ridden area in the northern part of the foreign quarter. There, I was subjected to insults and beatings day in and day out, until finally my internal organs were torn out, and I died in bitterness. It wasn't until after I died that I found out my cousin had had plastic surgery to look exactly like me and had taken my place at Tsinghua University. It was my uncle's family who conspired to harm me. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back on the day I received my acceptance letter. Nini, congratulations on getting into Tsinghua. Your parents must be so proud of you. The day after I received my acceptance letter from Tsinghua University, my uncle and his family came to my house in person to congratulate me. My aunt gently held my hand, while my uncle stood nearby, smiling warmly. Nini, I really envy you. As I looked at the gentle-faced girl in front of me and the kind-hearted elder beside her, a chill ran down my spine. Having just come to my senses after an excruciating pain, I stared in disbelief at the familiar scene before me. She sneered, inwardly frowny face, since I've been given the chance to live this life over, I'll make you all taste the suffering I've endured. Uncle, aunt, I am where I am today because of the care you've shown me all these years, which allowed me to focus on my studies. A hint of unease flashed across her aunt's face, while jealousy and resentment shone in Wu Yuqing's eyes. She must regret letting my parents come take care of me, which has led to me stealing the spotlight now. You silly child, your parents passed away when you were young, it's only natural for us, as your elders, to do this. That's right. Qingqing even said she wants us to take you with us on a trip to Thailand to celebrate the end of your college entrance exams. Humph, take me on a trip to Thailand, only to sell me off to the northern region right after, is that it? Then Wu Yuqing could get plastic surgery to look just like me, take my place at Tsinghua University, and steal the happy life that was meant to be mine. But I was enslaved, abused, and tortured to death in the North District. Seeing that I was silent, and afraid I might say no, Wu Yuqing affectionately linked her arm through mine and said, Sister Nini, let's go together. It's more fun with you. Going with mom and dad is so boring. In my previous life, unable to resist Wu Yuqing's persistent coaxing, I hesitated for a long time but eventually agreed to go on a trip with them. This time, I gladly agreed, sure, thank you, uncle. Wu Yuqing curled the corners of his mouth upward, revealing a smirk of triumph. It just so happens that my aunt works at a travel agency, so I can ask her to find us a great tour group, and we'll even get a discount. Without further ado, I immediately took out my phone and called my aunt. Wu Yuqing's smile faltered, and as she grabbed my hand, which was holding my phone, she was about to refuse, no. Hey, auntie, it's Nini. Nini, I heard you got into Tsinghua. Your aunt is so happy for you. Congratulations. Thanks, auntie. I wouldn't be bothering you unless it were important. My uncle's family wants to take me on a trip to Thailand, so I was wondering if your company has any good itineraries. As soon as she heard a business opportunity had come her way, my aunt was even more excited than she had been just a moment ago. Wow, your uncle's family really treats you well. You should definitely come to Thailand and visit our company. She chattered away, introducing things to me one after another, her high-pitched voice coming through the receiver. With a smug look on my face, I handed my phone to my uncle. Uncle, I can't make that decision on my own. Why don't you just talk to my aunt directly? My uncle glanced at my aunt with a look of hesitation, then took the phone with a grim expression. My uncle, who was being kept busy by my aunt, the top saleswoman, had no time for me, while my aunt listened with a displeased expression as she went on about the expensive, high-quality tour packages. I jumped up, beaming with excitement. I'm going to look for my passport. After leaving Wu Yuqing behind, I walked quickly into the bedroom. I opened the drawer where I keep my documents and took out my passport to carefully check its expiration date. After confirming that it was still valid, I carefully put it away. Wu Yuqing was so worried she came over and knocked on my door. "Nini, did you find your passport yet?" I opened the door and said, trying to sound casual, "I found it. It's still valid, so we can leave early." Wu Yuqing was overjoyed. After all, she still needed to set aside time for plastic surgery and recovery. My uncle was so caught up in my aunt's persuasive tactics that he couldn't back out. Plus, out of concern for his reputation, and afraid she'd accuse him of being a phony, he bit the bullet and booked a luxury trip to Thailand costing 18,000 per person. His aunt couldn't be pulled away no matter how hard she tried. She was so angry her nostrils flared wide. The departure date was set for 3 days later. To get rid of me as quickly as possible, my uncle really pulled out all the stops. After confirming again and again that my passport was in order, my uncle transferred the money to my aunt. On the day of our departure, my uncle's family arrived at my house early in the morning to pick me up and take me to the assembly point. As soon as he opened the door, he saw me rummaging through everything, looking for something. My aunt asked in surprise, "What's going on? Did a burglar break in?" With a long face, I said, "I can't find my passport." "Wah." My uncle looked stunned. He strode forward, his face a picture of disbelief. "What's going on? Didn't we confirm it was there that day?" "That's right. You saw it yourself, Ching, and we even checked the expiration date together. I put it away afterward, but now I can't find it no matter how hard I look." My uncle's entire family practically rushed into my house all at once to help me search high and low for my passport. "Oh, how could you possibly find a passport that's already been torn to shreds and washed down the drain?" They searched for nearly half an hour. They were drenched in sweat from the heat, but still came up empty-handed. I said apologetically, "Uncle, I'm sorry for letting you down. Please don't let me hold you back from your trip, you should go ahead." My uncle and aunt exchanged glances. As for this trip, they didn't know whether to go or not. The tour guide called, urging them to hurry over to the meeting point. After my uncle explained my situation, the tour guide said coldly, "The flight and hotel have already been confirmed. If you cancel the trip for personal reasons, you'll have to cover the costs yourself. So if none of us go, how much will we get back? If you cancel your trip on the day of departure, you'll have to pay a 70% cancellation fee." When my aunt realized the penalty for breach of contract would be over 20,000, she turned pale, grabbed her luggage, and walked out of our house without saying a word. My eldest uncle and Wu Yuqing followed closely behind, their lips tightly pursed. I called out to the three of them as they walked away with gloomy expressions, "Uncle, have a good trip." I glanced around at the mess on the floor, feeling in high spirits, then crouched down and began to clean it up. I've narrowly escaped this time, but I don't think they'll let it go. If I'm going to protect myself on my own, I need to know both myself and my enemy. When I saw Wu Yuqing's WeChat moment post saying she had arrived in Thailand, I picked up the keys they had left with me. Holding the cartoon-themed camera I'd just received, I slowly made my way to my uncle's house. After taking a close look, I confirmed that there were no security cameras installed at their house. I picked a corner, secretly plugged in the camera, connected it to their Wi-Fi, and immediately saw footage from their home on my phone. After making sure everything was in order, I quickly closed the door and left. When I saw a blood donation van, I went inside without hesitation to donate blood, and I happily went home with my blood donation certificate. After figuring out exactly when they'd be back home, I made an appointment at a tattoo parlor, and an hour later, I had an artistic design on my arm and collarbone. I stood at the arrival area where my uncle's family was getting off the bus, looking eager to please, and as soon as I saw them get out, I rushed over to greet them warmly. "Uncle, welcome home. I came especially to greet you." The moment my aunt saw my collarbone and arms, she was so shocked that her pupils dilated. "Nini, what's going on with you? Look at what you've done to your arms and chest." With a smug look on my face, I boasted, "Isn't it cool? I've wanted this tattoo for ages, and now I can finally be myself." Wu Yuqing looked furious. "Wu Jiani, are you out of your mind? How am I supposed to show my face in public after this? Unexpectedly, in a moment of anger, Wu Yuqing blurted out things she shouldn't have said. As soon as her aunt heard this, she quickly pulled her back to stop her from saying anything else. What? I just have a tattoo, how come you can't show your face in public? My aunt awkwardly covered for her, saying, It's nothing, she just meant she's embarrassed to be seen with you, since your tattoo really is too big. I stuck out my tongue. I see. Ching, young people should be a little more open-minded. Besides, I think this thorny rose is really pretty. Wu Yuqing glanced sideways at my raised arm. Enraged by that lush, vibrant red rose, she let out a sharp breath and dragged her suitcase forward without looking back. I ran after her, shouting and explaining my tattoo to her as I went. Ching, and on my collarbone, there's a safety lock connected to a set of keys. It's such a good omen. The more I shouted, the faster Wu Yuqing walked away, and the more elated I felt. Wu Yuqing, I'm only doing this for your own good. How are you supposed to get a tattoo just like mine if you don't take a good look at this weird one first? After we each went home, I opened the security camera app, and sure enough, Wu Yuqing was acting like a madwoman at home. Wu Jiani, is she out of her mind? What kind of taste is that? She actually has the nerve to get a tattoo that ugly. My aunt sighed too. I really don't know what's gotten into her. Has all that studying made her go crazy? Poor little Ching, she wants to get an identical tattoo. It's so big, it's bound to hurt. What a tragedy. As soon as Wu Yuqing heard about the pain of getting a tattoo, she was so angry that she threw all the throw pillows off the sofa onto the floor. I turned off the surveillance camera with a playful smile. When Grandpa found out I'd been accepted to Tsinghua, he insisted on throwing a celebration banquet to let our relatives and friends know, and he even said our uncles and older male relatives should chip in to pay for it. My uncle's family, who had just returned from a luxury tour with extra charges, dared not speak up despite their anger. Seeing that the other uncles and cousins had all readily agreed, I had no choice but to bite the bullet and chip in. Many of my friends and family members looked puzzled and surprised when they saw my tattoo, but what surprised everyone even more was Wu Yuqing. In the sweltering heat of July, she was wearing a long-sleeved, high-necked shirt, and even though the banquet hall was air-conditioned, she was still sweating profusely. My third aunt glanced at me sideways and said with a frown, Ching, hurry up and take off your clothes. Look at you, you're sweating buckets. Wu Yuqing forced a smile and said, Aunt, I'm not hot, I'm not feeling well. This is cold sweat. As soon as I heard that, I almost couldn't help but laugh out loud. I turned my head away and pressed my lips tightly together to stifle a smile as a familiar figure appeared outside the banquet hall door. I called out loudly, Xiaxia, over here. As soon as Wu Yuqing heard that name, she suddenly turned her head and followed my gaze toward the door. Xiaxia, how did he end up here? I was the one who invited him. When you were traveling, he threw a party to celebrate his admission to college and invited me, so I was just returning the favor. As soon as Wu Yuqing heard this, she felt even more resentful. Not only had she missed Xiaxia's college acceptance party because of her trip, but now she'd have to meet him today dressed in such a strange outfit. She whispered in my ear through gritted teeth, Why didn't you tell me earlier that Xiaxia was coming back? I asked, puzzled, Don't you want to see him? It was an open secret in our grade that Wu Yuqing had a crush on Xiaxia. When I asked her that, her face instantly flushed red. I wasn't sure if it was from anger, the heat, or embarrassment. Xiaxia walked up to us and greeted us cheerfully, saying, Hello, uncles and aunts. Seeing Wu Yuqing's outrageous outfit, Xiaxia couldn't help but lean in and ask, Wu Yuqing, are you feeling unwell? Wu Yuqing stammered, No, well, maybe a little. His speech is incoherent. He's definitely quite ill. Thoughtfully, I had Xiaxia sit between Wu Yuqing and me. He, who had also been accepted to Tsinghua, invited me to join him on the trip. How about we leave from here together then? That way, we can look out for each other along the way. As soon as Wu Yuqing heard this, he was immediately intrigued. That's a great idea. Let's go together then. Xiaxia asked curiously, did you apply to a university in Beijing too? Wu Yuqing's expression froze for a moment and she said awkwardly, no, his sister Nini asked me to come with her to orientation. She said she wanted to show me around campus. I've already decided to take the college entrance exam again. Xiaxia, you, all of you, have to wait for me in Beijing, okay? Her college entrance exam scores were abysmal. Even repeating the year wouldn't have made a difference. I really have no idea how she managed to graduate from Tsinghua in her past life. Thanks to the good wishes from so many friends and family members, my wallet swelled dramatically by the end of the meal. When my uncle handed me a thin red envelope, my grandfather looked displeased, so I immediately declined, saying, Uncle, you already invited me on a trip. Even though I didn't end up going, I still spent your money, so I don't need the red envelope. Upon hearing this, my uncle was just about to pull back the hand he had extended when my grandfather let out an involuntary snort from beside him. My uncle had no choice but to grit his teeth and force it into my hands, then turned and walked away, clearly indignant. I clutched the thin red envelope, slipped it into my bag with a smile, and gave Grandpa's sweet smile. My parents died when I was young, so I lived with my grandfather as a child. He always doted on me, which is why my eldest uncle's wife and Wu Yuqing were very jealous of me. Later, when my grandfather's health declined and he moved into a nursing home, I applied to live on campus and only returned to my own home during school breaks. After the celebration for getting into college ended, I lay on the couch at home and opened the security camera app, and I heard Wu Yuqing's voice as she cursed. Mom! When are we finally going to deal with Wu Jiani? I have to wear these long sleeves every day, I'm about to get heat stroke. Her aunt hurriedly brought some cold water to cool Wu Yuqing down and kept fanning her. Sweetheart, hang in there a little longer, it's hard to make a move back home. When she got home, already dressed in a t-shirt and shorts, she picked up a glass of water and gulped it down, then told her aunt to pour her another glass. My aunt held a glass of water and glared at my uncle, her dad. Did they say over there when they're going to get started? My uncle said hesitantly, you just said yourself that it's hard to pull this off back home. We need to come up with a foolproof plan. Otherwise, if we get caught, we'll be in big trouble. How about this, let's have Qingqing get plastic surgery first. The step-by-step plan from the clinic we contacted last time is good, and the price is reasonable, so she won't have to wear long sleeves every time she goes out. Wu Yuqing snorted coldly, if it weren't for that bitch Wu Jiani introducing her aunt to us, we wouldn't have signed up for such an expensive tour. In the end, it didn't even work out, we just wasted all that money for nothing. Otherwise, I wouldn't have chosen such a lousy plastic surgery clinic. I was holding my phone in my left hand and drinking Coke with my right, I almost burst out laughing. I didn't expect my little ploy to get out of there to have such a lasting impact on them. She had originally planned to go to South Korea for plastic surgery, but now she had no choice but to go to a newly opened plastic surgery clinic in her city. Just thinking about it made the Coke in her hand feel especially cold. My aunt and Wu Yuqing had no other choice but to make do with this for now. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Wu Yuqing looks like after her surgery. After all, I just looked up the plastic surgery clinic she chose online, and it turns out the majority shareholder is someone with quite a history, quite a story. Reading the story about the major shareholder, all I could do was silently pray for Wu Yuqing in my heart, hoping she wouldn't fail too miserably. On the day of Wu Yuqing's surgery, I made a special point of arranging for Xiaxia to come with me back to school to visit our teachers. We also shared our experiences with the college entrance exam and our study tips with the younger students who are about to enter their senior year of high school. Our teachers called us a golden boy and a jade girl and a perfect match, and they even took a photo and posted it on WeChat Moments. Even though I've never been one to post on my moments, I accidentally saved the photo and posted it there anyway, determined to surround Wu Yuqing from every angle. That evening, as soon as my uncle and aunt returned from the plastic surgery clinic, they began sighing and complaining. Do you think that bitch Wu Jiani did it on purpose? She knew full well that Qingqing liked Xiaxia, but she went and seduced him anyway. It made us so angry that Qingqing's blood pressure spiked. I don't even know if it will affect that double eyelid incision. My uncle comforted her, saying, "What's there to be afraid of? Everything Wu Jiani is doing now will ultimately benefit Qingqing. It would be best if she could hook up with Xiaixue, then Qingqing could just step right in and take his girlfriend's place. That would save a lot of trouble. After hearing what my uncle had to say, it actually made sense, and my aunt wholeheartedly agreed, instantly cheering up. You're right after all. I'll send Qingqing a message on WeChat right now to comfort her. Watching my aunt chat happily with Wu Yuqing on WeChat, she said to my uncle, Qingqing just said she's feeling much better, and her wound doesn't hurt as much anymore. Really? Well, then I'll go ahead and rile her up a bit. I waited half an hour on purpose before sending Wu Yuqing a WeChat message. Frowny face Qingqing. I checked in with Xiaixue today to see what he was thinking. When the topic turned to Xiaixue, Wu Yuqing replied instantly. Frowny face. What did he say? He said he thinks you're really cute and that you're his type, but unfortunately. What's the pity? He said that, aside from physical appearance, he values inner qualities even more. He wants someone he can connect with, someone who's a good match for him both intellectually and academically. He said it was a shame you didn't get into college and wouldn't have a chance to advance in life. Wu Yuqing's WeChat kept showing typing. I guess she was thinking of a way to get Xiaixue to focus his attention on me. After all, she felt she would soon become me. So what does he think of you? It seems like he's pretty nice to you, too. As I read those words, I smiled with a sense of understanding. After all, I know Wu Yuqing quite well. He said I wasn't his type. He simply admired my intellect. As soon as I said that, Wu Yuqing stopped replying to me altogether. She covets my grades and my life, largely because she's had a secret crush on Xiaixue for 3 years. If Xiaixue isn't interested in my appearance but is interested in my inner self, then after she's stolen my life, how am I supposed to make Xiaixue fall for me? I'm sure Wu Yuqing, on the other end of the phone, is bound to have a sleepless night tonight, while I'll sleep soundly. The day before Wu Yuqing was discharged from the hospital, I asked Zhou Qi, the biggest gossip in our class, to come with me to that plastic surgery clinic to inquire about mole removal. As soon as I arrived at the hospital entrance, I ran into my uncle and aunt, who were helping Wu Yuqing out. Uncle, aunt, what are you doing here? Wearing sunglasses and a scarf, and dressed in long sleeves, Wu Yuqing heard me call out to her parents and, startled, quickly looked down and turned away. But Zhou Qi, who knew about my relationship with Wu Yuqing, realized immediately that they were Wu Yuqing's parents, and her curiosity was instantly piqued. She quickly moved behind her uncle and peered down at the person wrapped up so tightly, wondering who she was. Wu Yuqing? My aunt nervously retorted, who's Wu Yuqing? Qingqing isn't here. Wu Yuqing kept her head bowed, saying nothing and constantly avoiding Zhou Qi's gaze. I asked curiously, then who is this? She's my distant cousin. She came to see a doctor. Zhou Qi pressed him relentlessly, asking, this is a plastic surgery clinic. Why are you wrapped up like that? What's the matter with you? I'd bet 80% that Wu Yuqing had plastic surgery and won't admit it. Exposed, Wu Yuqing trembled with rage, yet still could not bring herself to speak up in defense. My aunt, embarrassed and furious, waved her arms wildly in an attempt to push me and Zhou Qi away, but unexpectedly, with a backhand motion, she knocked Wu Yuqing's sunglasses off. Ah! Wu Yuqing was so startled that she quickly covered her eyes with her hands. But Zhou Qi, quick on his feet, managed to get past his aunt and catch sight of Wu Yuqing, whose eyes were red and swollen. Wu Yuqing! You still won't admit it? I saw you with my own eyes. So, are you here to get double eyelid surgery? I don't mean to criticize you, but since you didn't do well on the college entrance exam, weren't you supposed to take it again? Why aren't you studying hard instead of going for plastic surgery? Zhou Qi scoffed at Wu Yuqing's lack of focus on her work, and her loud voice drew the attention of those around her. Several passers-by had already overheard this and were whispering among themselves, pointing and whispering about her. Overcome by rage, Wu Yuqing lost his composure, let go of Zhou Qi's hand, and began to hurl abuse at him. Zhou Qi! It's none of your business what I do. Get lost. Zhou Qi had always taken a dislike to Wu Yuqing, who was constantly pestering Xie. Facing her curses, he paid no mind and even sneered, "That's really funny. The road is wide enough, it's not like it belongs to you, so what right do you have to tell me to get lost? You. What I do is my business, what right do you have to make such a fuss?" Zhou Qi wouldn't back down. "I'm free to say whatever I want, it's none of your business. If you've got the guts, go ahead and sue me." Seeing Zhou Qi's shameless expression as he swayed his shoulders at Wu Yuqing, she was so enraged that her fists clenched tightly and trembled uncontrollably. You. After you called out twice, Wu Yuqing fell straight backward onto the ground, his eyelids, swollen as walnuts, closely shut. Startled, my aunt gasped and rushed over to help her up. "Qing, what's wrong? Don't scare Mom like that." My uncle cast a worried glance at Wu Yuqing, then pointed at us menacingly and shouted, "If anything happens to my Qing, I'll see this through to the very end." Zhou Qi, never one to mince words, retorted, "If you're going to hold anyone accountable, you should hold this hospital accountable. What does this have to do with us?" When someone fainted at the plastic surgery clinic, several front desk nurses rushed out to check on the person. A few of them worked together to carry Wu Yuqing inside, and Zhou Qi, unable to resist her curiosity, tugged on my arm and we sneaked in after them. The doctor came over, examined her, and said to my uncle, "It's nothing. She's just suffering from a mild case of heat exhaustion." When they heard the doctor speak, they finally let out a sigh of relief. Their attention had been entirely on Wu Yuqing just a moment ago, and only now did they notice the two of us. "What are you still doing here? Haven't you caused Qing enough trouble already?" Zhou Qi said confidently, "Didn't you hear what the doctor just said? She has heat stroke, what does that have to do with us?" Seeing that she couldn't win the argument with Zhou Qi, my aunt turned her glare on me and said, "Wu Jiani, are you trying to side with an outsider to bully one of our own?" I instantly slipped into my green tea persona, "Auntie, I'm innocent. I didn't say a word." Zhou Qi suddenly stepped in front of me, a fragile girl. "Wu Yuqing always likes to pick on Nini, I guess the apple doesn't fall far from the tree." My aunt's chest heaved with rage as she gasped for breath. "You filthy bitch, you're making baseless accusations. Just wait, I'll tear your mouth to shreds." As soon as she said that, she was about to rush over and hit Zhou Qi, so I hurried forward and stood between them. "Auntie, calm down. If you hurt her, her family won't let this slide." My aunt was so furious she'd lost her mind. She wasn't listening to a word I said. She shoved me aside, rushed over, and slapped Zhou Qi across the face. With a smack, a distinct handprint was left on Zhou Qi's face. She was doted on from a young age, and the people around her would give her special treatment or flatter her out of deference to her family. Having never been treated so unfairly before, she burst into tears with a loud wah. And cried, "I'm going to tell my dad." My aunt hadn't yet realized the seriousness of the situation and scoffed at Zhou Qi's loud crying as he demanded to see his father. "Humph, go ahead and look for him. I'm right here waiting for your dad today, let's see what kind of trouble you can stir up." Zhou Qi, crying and sniffling, took out her phone and called her dad. "Dad, I got beaten up at Machen Plastic Surgery Hospital. Come quick." After the call ended, Zhou Qi stared intently at her aunt with her red, tear-stained eyes, afraid she might slip away. Just then, Wu Yuqing slowly came to. Seeing Zhou Qi, who was covering her face and glaring indignantly at her aunt, she asked weakly, "Mom, did something happen?" "Qing, you're awake. Mom taught that cocky little brat a lesson for you, calm down." Seeing the commotion, Wu Yuqing had already guessed what his mother had done, but he still couldn't bring himself to give up and asked anyway. "Did you hit her?" "That's right. That kid really needs a good scolding. She made you pass out and still had the nerve to talk back. How could I not teach her a lesson?" Wu Yuqing, who had barely managed to lift her head, could no longer hold it up and began to fall backward. She said weakly, "Mom, you've gotten us into trouble." At that moment, my aunt still had no idea what she had done, and she said dismissively, "Ching, you're talking nonsense. She's just a little girl, I hit her, so what? Am I afraid of her? Her dad is the chief of the Public Security Bureau." Chi. Where are you? Daddy's here. The two voices rang out at the same time, and my aunt stood there with her mouth agape, unable to say a word. Zhou Qi's father walked in anxiously and, as soon as he found Zhou Qi, showered him with concern. Chi, where did you get hit? Who hit you? Tell Daddy right away. Zhou Qi burst into tears, feeling wronged, and sobbed as he recounted how he'd been beaten. When he pointed at his aunt, Zhou Qi's father shot her a fierce glare, causing her to stumble back a step in fright. What gives you the right to hit someone? My aunt bit the bullet and replied, she was the one who provoked me first. Seeing his aunt's attitude, Zhou Qi's father flew into a rage. She's just stating the facts. You're the one in the wrong for hitting her. With his aunt still trying to hold it together, Zhou Qi's father picked up the phone and said, "Hello, send someone over right away to handle this." Upon hearing what Zhou Qi's father said, my aunt was so frightened that her legs gave way. She sat right down on the ground and burst into tears. Oh my, power really does crush people. The director is bullying the common folk. As she cried out like that, more and more people gathered to watch. Zhou Qi's father remained completely unfazed, watching impassively as his aunt threw a tantrum without saying a word. The uniformed police officer arrived quickly. When he saw Director Zhou about to salute, Director Zhou stopped him with a word. I'm just an ordinary citizen now. I have no special privileges. Just follow the standard procedures. The police officer, acting on instructions, immediately interviewed my aunt and Zhou Qi as part of the investigation, recorded their personal information, and took their statements. My aunt kept protesting her innocence and refused to believe that the police officers present would handle the matter impartially. She spoke vehemently and refused to produce her ID for registration. With no other choice, the officer had to ask my aunt to come back to the police station to discuss it further. As soon as she heard they were going to the police station, her legs went weak again. In a complete reversal from his earlier aggressive demeanor, he kept apologizing to Zhou Qi and his daughter, Director Zhou. Miss Zhou, I was blind to the truth just now. I was wrong. I beg you to be magnanimous and forgive me. Wu Yuqing also struggled to sit up and joined him in apologizing. Zhou Qi's father snorted coldly, "Sweetheart, will you accept their apology?" Zhou Qi said dismissively, "She's not cooperating at all with the police officers, she doesn't seem to realize she's in the wrong at all." Her aunt quickly produced her ID to register, and after the police finished taking her statement, she politely apologized to Zhou Qi. Zhou Qi snorted coldly, "You still need to apologize to Wu Jiani, you just pushed her down." As soon as she heard she had to apologize to me, my aunt's face turned as sour as if she'd swallowed a fly. She stammered, her voice sounding as if it were being squeezed out of a constricted throat, "Nini, I was wrong. I'm sorry." Zhou Qi tilted his head to listen carefully, then asked loudly, "What did you say?" My aunt blushed, "I'm sorry, Nini." Zhou Qi nudged me with his elbow and raised an eyebrow, asking, "Do you accept?" I was secretly delighted, but my face still wore a timid expression as I nodded and said, "Auntie, you're overreacting. I forgive you." After saying that, she clamped her mouth shut, afraid I might burst out laughing. Before Wu Yuqing had a chance to recover, her uncle and aunt, having received forgiveness from Zhou Qi and his daughter, quickly took Wu Yuqing by the arm and slipped away as fast as they could. When my uncle's wife was going head-to-head with us, my uncle cowered by Wu Yuqing's side, not daring to breathe a word, but this time he walked away as fast as he could. As Wu Yuqing walked past me, she whispered menacingly, "Wu Jiani, just you wait." I snorted coldly, "I'll see this through to the end." Zhou Qi smugly linked her arm through mine and boasted, "See? My sister helped you get even, consider this my way of repaying you for tutoring me, okay?" I said irritably, "I never expected you to repay me for tutoring you, you know." Besides, we both performed way above our usual level, we should be thanking our luck. After taking care of his older sister-in-law's affairs, Uncle Joe was about to go back to work. I've completely alienated my uncle's family this time. Their anger has now reached its peak, and they're at their most irrational. As soon as I walked in the door, I couldn't wait to open my phone and watch the video. A frail Wu Yuqing lay half reclined on the couch, watching coldly as her aunt angrily smashed everything within reach. My uncle was still cowering in a corner of the living room, too afraid to move. Wu Yuqing! If you don't do something about that slut right now, I'll never let this go. Wu Yuqing also said coldly, Dad, there's no turning back now. I'm already in this situation. If we don't get rid of Wu Jiani as soon as possible, I won't be able to go on living. With no other choice, my eldest uncle took out his cell phone and dialed a number. Hey gang, it's time to make your move. 3 days from now at 5 o'clock p.m. At the entrance to that alley northwest of my house, I'll have that girl standing there all by herself, waiting for you. Heh. They keep saying they're family, but when they try to steal my stuff, all they want is my life. In that case, I don't need to show you any consideration. I called Xiaxue and briefly told him about what had happened between Zhou Qi and Wu Yuqing that day. I'd like to ask him to help arrange a meeting with Wu Yuqing so we can make amends. After all, it's not good for a family to hold a grudge. But I'm also worried that Wu Yuqing might not want to meet with us, so I'd like to ask him to invite her out in a personal capacity first. Xiaxue was a level-headed guy, so he immediately promised with a thump on his chest that he would get Wu Yuqing to meet up. I sent Xiaxue the address of the coffee shop where we were supposed to meet. It happened to be right across the street from the meeting spot my uncle and gang had arranged, so now it was just a matter of whether Wu Yuqing would be unlucky enough to catch the eye of human traffickers. That evening, my uncle contacted me and asked me to meet him at the entrance to the alley at 5 o'clock p.m. the day after tomorrow so we could go visit Grandpa together. I'm happy to agree. Xiaxue replied that he had already made plans with Wu Yuqing. We spent these 3 days in a tense atmosphere. My uncle's family and I kept to ourselves, each waiting for the moment when everything would be settled. That afternoon, my eldest uncle called me ahead of time to remind me to be sure to arrive at that spot on time. In a slightly puzzled tone, I asked a question I already knew the answer to. Uncle, why do we have to be there on time? My uncle hesitated for a moment, then made up an excuse. I'm meeting a friend for dinner. I'll drop you off to see Grandpa and then come right back. I smiled and said, okay, I'm about to head out. After watching the footage from the phone's security camera, my uncle and I confirmed it and immediately notified gang. Meanwhile, Wu Yuqing had also gotten dressed and was ready to go out. Her aunt asked her where she was going, but to her surprise, she just brushed it off by saying she was going to a friend's house to hang out, without mentioning a word about where Xiaxue had asked her to go. This is just a stroke of luck. I called Xiaxue and asked him to come an hour later to give us sisters some time to chat. Sitting alone in the living room, I wrapped my arms around my knees, buried my head between my legs, and waited quietly for this turning point in my life to pass. The alarm went off at 6 o'clock. I got myself ready and headed out. As soon as I arrived at the entrance to the coffee shop, I saw Xiaxue. What are you doing here? Where's Wu Yuqing? I was just getting ready to leave when Wu Yuqing's dad called me, I said, out of breath. That set me back a bit, I just got here. Xiaxue and I pushed the door open and walked in. I glanced around but didn't see Wu Yuqing anywhere. I asked Xiaxue, has Wu Yuqing been in touch with you? Xiaxue shook his head, and I thought to myself, it's 9 out of 10 that it's already a done deal. Zhou Qi arrived shortly after, and the 3 of us sat in the cave waiting until 7 o'clock, but Wu Yuqing never showed up. Zhou Qi suggested the 3 of us go to her place for dinner, so we ate, chatted, and watched a movie until 10 o'clock p.m. When we finally went home. When I got home, I checked the security camera feed again. My uncle and aunt were anxiously waiting for Wu Yuqing to come home, and as soon as they saw the lights come on in my house, my uncle jumped to his feet. Wait, why is the light on in Wu Jiani's living room? As soon as my aunt heard this, she hurried to the balcony to look. After confirming that the lights were on at our house, she turned back in surprise and asked my uncle what was going on. "Didn't Ganga call and tell you it worked out? Then who turned on the light? Could it be a burglar?" At that moment, my uncle's face turned ashen and he grabbed my aunt's arm and started to head for the door. "Let's go check it out and see for ourselves." I closed the monitoring app, took a few deep breaths, and braced myself for the storm. My phone rang. I glanced at the caller ID but didn't rush to answer it. Bang, bang, bang. My uncle must have heard the cell phone ringing inside the house. Realizing I was home, he pounded on our front door frantically. "Wu Jianni, I know you're in there. Open the door!" Just as he was knocking and calling out to me for the third time, I slowly opened the door, pretending to be anxious and out of breath. "Uncle, Aunt, why are you looking for me so urgently? Is something wrong?" My uncle glared at me and yelled, "Why didn't you go to the end of the alley?" I looked at him with wide, innocent eyes. "I went there. Isn't that the alley by the entrance to the complex? I waited for you there for ages. I called you a few times, but you didn't pick up. I was worried something might have happened." Only then did my uncle check his phone for missed calls, and after confirming that I was telling the truth, he looked at me with a mix of skepticism and belief. Luckily, I had a plan B. Starting at 5 o'clock, I began calling my uncle, letting it ring a few times before hanging up. I know my uncle definitely won't answer my call, but I want to have proof. My aunt saw that I was safe and sound, but Gang had clearly said it had worked, and at that moment, Wu Yuqing wasn't there. With that thought in mind, she hurriedly pulled out her cell phone and, with trembling hands, dialed Wu Yuqing's number. After calling several times in a row with no answer, my aunt burst into tears with a loud wah. I feigned confusion and asked with concern, "Auntie, is something wrong?" My aunt shoved me to the ground and screamed, "You jinx. If anything happens to my Ching Ching, I won't let you get away with it." My uncle held back my aunt, who was trying to keep coming at me. "Honey, calm down. Let's go home and talk about this." After watching them leave, I finally got up from the ground, locked the front door, and leaned back against it, letting out a deep sigh. As I continued to watch their every move, I saw them pacing anxiously, like ants on a hot pan. My uncle kept calling Gang, but he didn't answer. My aunt said worriedly, "Honey, why don't we call the police? I think they must have kidnapped Ching Ching." My uncle paced back and forth, his brow furrowed. "What are we supposed to tell the police? That we hired human traffickers to kidnap our own daughter? We absolutely can't call the police, otherwise, they'll follow the trail and track us down." My aunt cried, "What are we going to do? Ching Ching is our only daughter, we have to save her. If she's sold to the North District, her life will be ruined." "Oh, do unto others as you would have them do unto you." I really want to ask them, how does it feel when karma comes back to bite you? It had been several days since anyone had heard from Wu Yuqing, and her uncle and aunt looked visibly haggard. Just as she was about to call the police, Ganga called her uncle. My uncle turned on the speaker so he could talk to Gang, and so my aunt could hear too. My eldest uncle, in tears, told Gang that they had arrested the wrong person and begged them to bring Wu Yuqing back immediately. On the other end of the line, Brother Gang said, looking flustered, "No way. I told them to go ahead at the time and place you specified. How could they have kidnapped your daughter?" My aunt cried out, "I don't care. Gang, bring my daughter back right now. It was our mistake, we made you work for nothing. We'll compensate you for your losses. Please, just give my daughter back to me." "Oh, it's not that I don't want to, but in our line of work, communication is always one way, that's to prevent anyone from tracing us." "You want me to bring your daughter back right now? Where am I supposed to find her?" My aunt wailed and screamed, throwing a tantrum and rolling on the floor, but after my uncle said a few soothing words, he picked up his phone and continued asking Brother Gang for help. "I know this will be difficult, but I'm sure you can figure something out. Here's 50,000 as a down payment for your trouble. If that's not enough, I'll give you more. Please do whatever it takes to help me find my daughter. As soon as Gang heard there was money to be made, his tone immediately shifted from one of reluctance to one of understanding. Don't worry, old Wu. Leave this to me, I'll make sure to find your daughter as soon as possible. After hearing what Brother Gang said, my aunt finally calmed down. She wiped away her tears and snot, then started cursing at me again. Not wanting that foul language to pollute my ears, I saved the previous video and then logged out of the app. After getting my thoughts in order, I made a plan for the money I had on hand. I also decided to sell the house I'm currently living in with the intention of settling in Beijing for the long term or moving to another city, either way, just to get away from that monster. After discussing it with my grandfather, I asked my aunt to help me list the house online. Thanks to its location in a desirable school district, quite a few people came to view it. I'm not in a hurry to sell, so I won't consider any sellers who try to drive down the price. I've been busy with other things and haven't checked in on my uncle's family for 2 or 3 weeks. Now that I had some free time, I decided to take a look at the security camera footage. I had just turned on my phone when a piercing screech startled me so much that I almost dropped it. Let me go! You're bad people. You're all bad people. Let me go! My uncle held Wu Yuqing tight as she struggled desperately. Her face was wrapped in thick gauze, and as she struggled, specks of red began to seep through the white gauze. My aunt came out of the kitchen carrying a bowl of porridge. When she saw Wu Yuqing acting crazy, she quickly put the bowl down and rushed over. Don't be afraid, Qingqing. Mommy's here. Be a good girl, Qingqing. Auntie rushed over, hugged Wu Yuqing tightly, and soothed her softly. Perhaps it was the power of a mother's love, but Wu Yuqing gradually calmed down. Her aunt helped her back to her bedroom to rest, and only came out after she had fallen into a deep sleep. With a heavy heart, she said, "Those damned human traffickers, how could they do this to my little Qingqing? What a terrible crime. The wound on my face hasn't healed yet. I wonder what it will look like once it heals." My aunt covered her face and wept, while my uncle slammed his fist on the sofa. Qingqing was defiled by that bunch of scum. If she gets pregnant, her whole life will be ruined. Only then did my aunt realize what was happening. She jumped to her feet and tried to rush out. Honey, where are you going? Go buy a pregnancy test. I remember Qingqing's period is usually around this time, but it still hasn't come. As luck would have it, Wu Yuqing did indeed become pregnant. The wounds from her plastic surgery hadn't healed well, leaving 2 twisted scars on her eyelids. Early the next morning, my aunt, with a heavy heart, gave Wu Yuqing medication to induce a medical abortion. Shortly after she took the medication, Wu Yuqing's screams could be heard. My aunt cried out, "My poor, unfortunate daughter." My uncle couldn't take it anymore, so he grabbed a stick and rushed out of the house. Bang, bang, bang! Wu Jiani! Open the door for me. Look what you've done to Qingqing. Wu Jiani! I rolled my eyes, jumped to my feet, and flung the door open. My uncle pointed a stick menacingly at my nose and cursed, "You worthless bitch. It wasn't enough that you brought misfortune upon your parents, now you're going to bring misfortune upon our Qingqing too. Just wait, I'm going to beat you to death today." As he spoke, he swung his stick at me with all his might. I dodged to the side and took a step back into the living room. Just as the next blow was about to land, a stern shout rang out. "Boss! What are you up to?" Thank goodness Uncle brought Grandpa here in time. Otherwise, I would have ended up covered in bruises today. Hearing Grandpa's scolding, my eldest uncle quickly stopped the stick he was about to swing. "Dad! I'm just helping my second younger brother take care of his kids." Grandpa slammed his cane down hard and scolded him loudly. "What did my Jiani do to deserve a beating with that stick? She's done terrible things to our Qingqing. She's turned her into something that's neither human nor ghost. Uncle, that's a serious accusation, you'd better have proof. My uncle's expression froze. My poor Qingqing is the proof. I sneered. Uncle, you say I harmed Qingqing, but how exactly did I harm her, and what did that do to her? I was certain my eldest uncle wouldn't reveal what had happened to Wu Yuqing or the reasons behind it, first, because it involved a crime, and second, because if my third aunt found out, the whole neighborhood would know, and Wu Yuqing would never be able to get married. Seeing that my uncle couldn't say a word, I took a step forward, moved closer to him, and whispered, Uncle, you have no evidence, but I do. I have proof of how you colluded with human traffickers to try to sell me, and how you had Wu Yuqing undergo plastic surgery to look like me so she could steal my life. My uncle stared at me in shock, unable to believe that I, as soon-to-be freshman, already had evidence of his crime in my hands. When Grandpa saw how furious he looked, he was afraid he might try to hurt me again, so he quickly stepped in and pulled me away. Boss, I don't care what goes on in your family, but don't even think about harming a single hair on my granddaughter's head. My eldest uncle said with a look of defiance, Dad, Qingqing is your granddaughter, too. Grandpa was so angry his mustache stood on end. Jianni lost her parents when she was little. You elders all have your own families and don't have time to take care of her. I don't blame you for that. But unless I'm dead, don't even think about taking advantage of the situation to bully her. Whatever happens to Qingqing is your responsibility as parents. What does it have to do with my granddaughter? Seeing that he wasn't getting anywhere at our house today, my uncle shot me a furious glare and stormed out, slamming the door behind him. Right up until I left for Beijing, Wu Yuqing was unable to go out and see anyone. My grandfather and my uncles came with me to see me off at the terminal, and Xiaxia was there too. Nini, be sure to let Grandpa know you've arrived safely in Beijing, and take good care of yourself at school. With tears welling up in my eyes, I nodded and said, I definitely will. Don't worry, Grandpa. When they saw the tattoos on my arms and collarbone disappear for no apparent reason, with my skin completely unharmed, my uncle and aunt finally realized that I had been lying to them from the very beginning. Their faces were ashen. They looked as if they were swallowing a bitter pill, and they glared at me with hatred. After everyone had said their goodbyes, my uncle and aunt stepped forward and said to me through gritted teeth, Don't get too cocky, there's plenty of time ahead. I sneered and replied grimly, I'll leave you with a saying of my own, the net of the law is wide but never misses its mark. It's not that retribution won't come, it's just that the time hasn't come yet. My uncle froze, taken aback by my icy expression, and instinctively took 2 steps back. After arriving safely in Beijing, I let my grandfather know I was okay and then dove right into college life. Zhou Qi, who was also in Beijing, would come by the campus to see me from time to time, as would Xiaxia. She was also kind enough to share some gossip about my eldest uncle's family with me. Did you know? Wu Yuqing didn't go back to school to retake her exams. I heard she's in a dispute with a plastic surgery clinic and is demanding that they perform the procedure again. But the plastic surgery clinic said it was due to her improper post-operative care and refused to perform the procedure again. She seems to have been through a lot. Some people say they saw her acting crazy at the hospital. Xiaxia couldn't help but think back to the last time he'd helped me set up a meeting with Wu Yuqing, and he asked suspiciously, what exactly happened to her? You seem to know the inside story. I shrugged, all I know is that they want to hurt me, and I'm just protecting myself. I don't need anyone to understand me. I just want to live my life in peace. Xiaxia reassured her, if you need any help, don't hesitate to ask me. I know it's not easy for you to go through this alone. Suddenly, feeling understood and cared for, my eyes welled up with tears before I knew it. Fortunately, Zhou Qi broke the sentimental mood just in time. She was scrolling through her phone when she suddenly let out a loud shout. Big news, our city has successfully broken up a human trafficking ring. My dad's going to get credit for this again. I took the phone and looked at it. More than half of the group members had been arrested, but looking at the list, I didn't see a name like so-and-so gang. A few days later, Zhou Qi called. Wu Jianni. Something terrible has happened at Wu Yuqing's house. What's up? It turns out that the human trafficking ring suspected your uncle of providing the tip, so the fugitives took retaliatory action against them. They showed up in the middle of the night, locked Wu Yuqing's entire family inside the house, and set it on fire. By the time the neighbors noticed, the fire was already out of control, and your great-uncle's family had already. He's turned to ashes. I checked my phone and saw that this tragic incident was already high on the trending list. Authorities have officially announced that the suspect, so-and-so, has been apprehended, but the 3 members of the Wu family have already lost their lives. I smiled. Water can support a boat, but it can also capsize it. My uncle wanted to use a criminal organization to satisfy his twisted greed and steal my life away. I never expected to end up dying at their hands. I turned off my phone and slowly walked out of the dorm. Mottled sunlight spilled onto the path. I will take it one step at a time as I walk the path toward my future.